How's it going, guys? So, according to Eddie Hearn, the proposed heavyweight super fight between Anthony Joshua and Wladimir Klitschko is supposedly official for next April. Now, if this is true, and you have to take what Eddie Hearn says with a pinch of salt, because a lot of the time, these promoters will announce fights, and then next thing you know, they get cancelled. But assuming this fight happens, I'll be very much looking forward to this fight. It really is a heavyweight super fight. I mean, the heavyweight division for this past year has been pretty lackluster, pretty disappointing. We have Tyson Fury to thank for that. I mean, he won the title by outboxing Wladimir Klitschko. He won the title by just using his superior movement, his size, and his boxing skill. And he found an exploit, and he won the fight. Congratulations to him for winning the fight. But since winning the fight, there's been nothing to talk about, really, has there? But Tyson Fury, he hasn't done anything since winning the title, but talk. He's just talking about how he's been hard done by and how he's the victim and whatnot. And now he's claiming that he's retired and whatever. Heavyweight division needs to move on. Okay, we can stop calling this guy the heavyweight champion, because clearly he has no desire to be a long-term heavyweight champion. So yeah, forget about Tyson Fury, and let's just talk about this fight now. It's a fantastic fight. You can tell how they're going to market this one. It's going to be, it's going to be a situation where it could be the old master passing on the torch to the young lion, or it could turn out to be a situation where the old master gives the young lion a boxing lesson. That's what's very intriguing about this one is, you've got this guy in Wladimir Klitschko who had been dominant for so long. I mean, he was heavyweight champion for a very long time. He unified nearly all the belts, all but one of them, which was held by his brother. He was probably the most dominant heavyweight champion of all time. I know some people would say Joe Louis. Some people would say maybe Mike Tyson for just a short period of time, even though he never had the kind of longevity that Klitschko had. But I would say that Wladimir Klitschko is probably the most dominant heavyweight champion of all time. And, it's time that we give the guy his credit. I mean, I'm not a Wladimir Klitschko fan, personally. I don't really, I'm not a big fan of his style. Never have been, really. But you have to give the dude credit. I mean, the guy has been a commendable champion. He's beaten numerous undefeated heavyweight contenders over the years. He's faced many different styles. He's been in many big fights himself, like his fight against David Haye, which was billed as a super fight. Obviously, he fought, he fought in America several times, like when he fought Sam Peter the first time, and he fought Brian Jennings. He's fought all over the world, Klitschko. He's fought in several different countries, and he's willing to travel to defend his title, and he's going to be doing that again. This next fight is going to be taking place in Wembley Stadium in London, so there's going to be a massive support for Anthony Joshua in the crowd. Klitschko really is going into the lion's den for this fight, and that has to be commended. Now, as far as a prediction for this fight, I suppose it is a little bit early to be making a prediction. This video is more a breakdown than anything, on possible outcomes of this fight. I'll probably do another video much closer to the fight with an official prediction on how I think the fight's going to go. Now, let's break these two down for a second. First of all, my initial thoughts. My thoughts just as the fight has now been announced. Just how I think the fight's going to go. How I initially think. This may change closer to the fight. I'm favouring Anthony Joshua at the moment. I'm favouring him to beat Wladimir Klitschko. And I know that there'll be a lot of people who are split down the middle. A lot of people will agree with me, and a lot of people will disagree with me on this. But I think that there are a lot of attributes at the moment that favour Anthony Joshua going into this fight. First of all, I already talked about how the fight's going to be in London, in Wembley Stadium in London, which is, it's basically going to be Anthony Joshua's. It might as well be in Anthony Joshua's back garden. I mean, the whole crowd, and I mean probably every single person in the crowd, is going to be so emotionally attached to Anthony Joshua with this fight. They're really going to be getting behind him. I mean, it's going to be a huge, tremendous amount of support for Joshua. Obviously, with having the home advantage, you have the advantage of judges and the referee and whatnot. But I'm sure that Wladimir Klitschko will be, I'm sure he's not ignorant enough to go into this fight and allow all the officials to be British. He's not as stupid as Sergey Kovalev that way. He'll probably make sure that that the officials for this fight are appointed by the sanctioning body, which is in this case the IBF. I don't know. I think everything in terms of just politics and whatnot is all going to favour Joshua going into this fight. That has to be said. Now, it's not all about politics. Anthony Joshua has a distinct advantage in terms of youth. He's much younger and much fresher than Wladimir Klitschko. Wladimir Klitschko, because of his dominance, I think we forget just how old Wladimir Klitschko is and just how many miles there are on the clock. Wladimir Klitschko is 41 years old. So, he's going in against Joshua, who's still in his 20s. Joshua's in the prime of his life right now. He's in fantastic condition. He hasn't really taken any damage in his career at all. He's still fresh as he was as an amateur. Right now, he hasn't put a foot wrong in his career. You can talk about heavyweights like Wilder and Joseph Parker and whatnot, and these guys have had fights where they haven't really looked that impressive, fights where they've been hurt or they've been dropped or they've looked tired and whatnot. But Anthony Joshua hasn't had any of those moments in his career yet. Every single thing in his career has been 100% positive. It's he hasn't put a foot wrong. Okay, he's done everything right so far. He's won every fight inside the distance. He's pretty much won almost every round in his career. The only fight where he lost a single round was against Dillian Whyte, which was the second round. Other than that, he dominated. And that was as a result of him getting cocky because he had a lot of success in the first round and got a little bit cocky in the second round. Then he got caught with a counter left hook, which he will certainly learn from. I don't see him getting caught with that shot if they have a rematch. Now, so Joshua is just so fresh going into this fight right now. He's got... he's in a great place in his career right now. He's so confident. He's a kind of a monolithic type of figure in boxing right now. Eric Molina was terrified in that ring. He was scared to death of engaging with Anthony Joshua, and you can't really blame him because Anthony Joshua has been nothing but monolithic. He's been nothing but perfect in his career so far. Now, that's not to say that Anthony Joshua doesn't have flaws, because what you can say is that Joshua, he hasn't exactly fought the best opposition. If you were to take Charles Martin and Dominic Breazeale and Dillian Whyte and Eric Molina, if you were to take all those guys and compare them to even a handful of some of the guys that Wladimir Klitschko has fought over the years, it's not even a comparison, okay? Wladimir Klitschko would have dismantled those guys easily. Think about it. If Eric Molina was fighting Wladimir Klitschko last night, would any of you guys be betting on Eric Molina to win? Of course not. So, you can't really look at Joshua's opposition and how he's handled them and say for certain that he's going to do the same to Wilder. You don't, to Klitschko. You don't know. So I think that it's worth taking into account that we really don't know how good Anthony Joshua is. Yeah, of course, on the eye test he looks perfect. There doesn't seem to be any noticeable flaws. He really hasn't put a foot wrong yet, but we just don't know. At the highest level, Wladimir Klitschko is going to be a massive step up in class. To go from fighting Eric Molina to fighting Wladimir Klitschko, it's a very, very big step up. Now, a lot of people said the same thing about Tyson Fury, because when he was going in to fight Klitschko, he was coming off a victory against Christian Hammer. And people were saying, come on, you can't go from fighting Christian Hammer to fighting Wladimir Klitschko. It just doesn't compare. But I picked Tyson Fury to win that fight. And I did so because I just felt that stylistically he had a chance. And although I don't feel that Anthony Joshua is quite as slick or moves quite as well as Fury, I don't think he's quite as fluid or as technically sound as Fury is. What I do think Anthony Joshua is he's a fantastic athlete. And when you're such a good athlete and when you're so powerful and strong, it only takes one punch or one moment in the fight where you get your opponent in a position where you know, they're trapped on the ropes or something, or you know, they're out of gas and whatnot, and you can just impose yourself on them. Like I said, Joshua's a monolithic force. You know, he can really punch. Now, a few people have mentioned that Wladimir Klitschko, with his experience and with obviously his superior craft, and with there being a lot of pressure on Joshua, because for Joshua to perform in front of his home crowd, you never know. Against a fighter as well schooled and as experienced as Klitschko, you never know if Joshua will be there mentally. You know, you never know how he'll handle it. And perhaps he puts too much pressure on himself. But to be honest, from what I've seen of Joshua, from what I've observed as him as a character, he seems to me to be pretty cool. I mean, going into this fight with Molina, he was sitting on a couch watching Derek Chisora's fight. So, I mean, that's the kind of confidence we're talking about here. This guy is very, very cool, very calm. You know, he gets the job done. He's humble. You know, that was one of his catchphrases, stay humble. So, you know, he's humble. He understands that he's got a job to do. And I think that the likelihood is, at least based on my observations, the likelihood is that he won't have any problems with confidence or anything going into this fight. I think he's going to be very confident, and I think he's going to be there to win. And I do think that he's going to be, it's probably going to be the best Anthony Joshua that we'll ever see. Now, I'm looking forward to seeing some people's videos. I haven't watched anybody's breakdown or prediction on this fight so far. I don't think there actually is any out there, but when people make some predictions for this, I'm looking forward to hearing everybody's perspective, because I'm sure there are a lot of people who think that it's just too much too soon for Joshua, but I'm not one of those people. I'm making that known right now that I do favour Joshua to win this fight at this stage. But we'll see how training goes. We'll see how you know, we'll see if Wladimir Klitschko can kind of turn back the clocks in training, because you know, prior to the Fury fight, I mean, he looked considerably slower to me on the pads and whatnot. So that was another reason why I picked Fury to win. Now, you know, going into this fight, I'll need to observe how Klitschko looks, you know, whether he's doing the right things or not. So, you know, let me know what you guys think. What do you guys think of this fight? What are your initial thoughts? My initial thoughts are that Joshua will probably knock Klitschko out. I think he'll probably do it by the mid-rounds to the later rounds, but it could happen any time. Okay, these guys both have the power to knock the other out. So, you know, just right now, I mean, can Wladimir Klitschko's jab and, you know, superior movement, because I think he moves better than Joshua, you know, can that be the difference here? I mean, I know that Joshua, like I said, he can't compete with Fury in terms of movement and boxing skill, but just that raw athleticism that Joshua has, I think, will be enough to carry him to victory. That and the fact that he seems so well schooled to me. Now, let me know what you guys think, and thanks for watching.